We have a tornado warning, Lauren, just in the same area where we're talking about all this weather we watched from Sky 9.
That's right. We were just watching a lot of different things from Sky 9. We saw some downpours coming from one angle. Then we saw a little dust devil kind of pop up there. But let's go straight over to our HD Doppler radar, and you can see where this tornado warning is right over Aurora, which is not too far from the airport. It's going to be just a bit further southwest there. So this is probably something that's going to delay a lot of flights. Just a heads up there. This tornado warning is expected to last until 4:45. So we have another maybe about 10 to 12 minutes left on it. As the storm pushes through, it's not a big storm. It's very tight, very small, very concise, but you can see the deeper colors within this little storm here. We have some oranges and yellows and reds. Now, not a whole lot of reports on too much happening. I think that may be involved with that dust devil that we saw, so we'll have to wait for official confirmation on the ground there, but it may or may not have turned into a dust devil. So we're going to continue to monitor this same area. Let's go ahead and take a look out at Sky 9, and you can see a view there. It looks pretty gloomy off in the distance, but I'm not seeing any spiral or anything like that so far from this view. It looks like maybe a quick storm is pushing through, but that's also not to let your guard down, because it could be rain wrapped, which is a possibility because we have some showers on the outside of where we have this tornado warning pushing through. So this is something we're going to continue to monitor. Again, your phone or any sort of alarm system may have recently gone off. So I just want to repeat, we do have a tornado warning over Aurora right now until 4:45. That's going to be this red polygon that you have over the city. Now, again, the storm that's pushing through, as you can see, it moves its way through. It's pretty small, but we are going to pay attention to the brighter colors within this tornado, or within this storm that's pushing through over the tornado warning. Only a few lightning bolts involved with this. It's not looking to have a whole lot of spiral involved as far as this HD Doppler radar is showing.
Lauren, I have a quick question. As we were looking at the HD Doppler there, it looks as though the storms are moving both from east and west and meeting at Aurora almost.
Yes, that is also what happens. So as we take let's take a wider view here, and you can see we had a few other smaller storms that are pushing their way in. We had some storms come down from the high country, making their way from the north all the way further south there. And then we had a couple pushing in, it looks like maybe an outflow boundary coming in actually from the east. Now, these storms are actually ramping up further south of Castle Rock as they make their way into Colorado Springs. So I think that's where a lot of the energy is right now, but that doesn't rule out what we could be seeing over Aurora. I'm going to go back to where this tornado warning is. Again, this is going to be for the next maybe 10 minutes or so. So this is an area that at the very least, if you're in this area, if you know anybody in this area, you do want to seek shelter right now. Again, this is expected to last for the next 10 minutes or so. So another live look at Sky 9. I'm getting news in from the National Weather Service in Boulder. National Weather Service spotters reported a land spout near Buckley Air Force Base. So this could be what
So that's in that same area.
Yeah.
That would have been that dust that we were looking at. I mean, it's hard to tell if there was rotation.
Right, but you could see that, that dust was being kicked up so hard from the ground. Again, this is an afternoon you're going to need to pay attention, as we have for these past few days. So especially in Adams and Arapahoe and in that red area, there is that tornado warning for at least another 6 or 7 minutes. We'll get back to Lauren. We'll be keeping an eye on this throughout the afternoon, of course, as things are certainly percolating in and around the state weather-wise. Stay with us right here on 9 News and, of course, 9news.com. And, of course, we talk about the weather app being so valuable at this time.
Right. And, I mean, most of us had our phones just now give us an alert. I know Aurora Police and others have put out these messages. But it was funny how quickly this popped up maybe 20 minutes ago when we first saw some of the shafts of rain over that area near Tower Road. And we talked about the impact it might have at DIA. This happens a lot for them, especially at this time of the year in the late afternoons. And then they have to either, you know, send flights to other areas, or in some cases they just circle for a little bit. But this is nothing to joke about. I mean, it's serious stuff.
This hot spot now with this warning that'll last at least another 5 minutes. minutes, and you can certainly see that collision and all of a sudden that large activity, the yellow and orange coming together. But also, as Lauren was talking about, if you looked around on some of the wider pictures, the western side of the state seeing some heavy weather, and just to the south of the metro area, a line of storms as well forming. So this area is our focus right now, but there are other areas that also need to be paying attention throughout the afternoon and on into the evening.
Yeah, it's these proper ingredients that all come together. You know, when you think about the week we've had with all the rain and hail and lightning every night, and in many cases late at night. But, you know, in Larimer County, they had a flash flood watch up until 3:45 this afternoon in the Cameron Peak area because the storms are coming in there a little earlier. But it's sort of what you talked about. It's the way everything is meeting up right now.
So
yeah.
now,
go ahead, Lauren.
I'm going to jump in a little bit here. So I did pause our HD Doppler radar loop so that we can see more of a radar version of what's happening over this tornado warning. So I stopped it at its most recent point, and I will say the good news is, as far as radar is concerned, there's not a big hook involved with this, so it's lacking a lot of rotation. But again, National Weather Service spotter did report a land spout, so that would be an explanation as to why it doesn't look too impressive on the HD Doppler radar. And this is something that if it weren't for a spotter spotting out that land spout, it would be kind of a question mark as to what's going on, because it doesn't look as impressive on the radar. But we go back to a video from earlier when you can see all of that dust being kicked up. Now, the good news for anyone in this area is it lacks a lot of this the formal spiral. You can see it's at least at this point in the video, it's not as tight, or there's not as much rotation as there could be. So that's good news for anyone in the area. But again, that does not mean let your guard down. This isn't something that we want to take easily, and we are going to continue to monitor this. This tornado warning is expected to last until now. It's been updated till 4:40. So it looks like we have about a couple more minutes on this. And again, a National Weather Service spotter did report a land spout near Buckley Air Force Base. And so now we do have this tornado warning over Aurora. We're going to continue to monitor this, because even outside of any sort of tornado warning or that land spout, just take a look at what it looks like out there. Very gloomy, very ominous.
Oh my goodness, so, looks like night.
Yes.
There is sunlight, but then as soon as you get past it, you run into that nearly jet black sky, and we talked about the rain that had been forming, and you could see that also on the radar. But this again becomes one of those pocket storms that we see a lot of in Colorado, where they're not necessarily big, but they certainly can be powerful.
Yeah, just south of the airport where we were looking at, we talk about Buckley and we look at Aurora, and then you think of all the neighborhoods around there, Green Valley Ranch, and many folks impacted. You've got parts of Adams County, Denver County, and Aurora that are all kind of close together in that area.
And when you see images like this, Lauren, as you say, not well formed, but certainly an indication of that transition from the ground up to the cloud. And when you see that connection, people start to get pretty nervous.
Yes, and that is something that you do want to continue to be cautious of, because land spouts can churn up a lot of debris into the air. And so you just want to be cognizant of all of that stuff in the air eventually making its way down. Now, again, the good news is it's not well formed, and it's not going to be your traditional tornado. But let's go back over to our HD Doppler radar, where we are starting to see the storm even be a bit bigger than what it was just a few minutes ago. So it looks like the tornado warning is back until 4:45. So says my computer here, but you can see it is starting to become a bit bigger, and there is now starting to become a bit more of a hook. And that hook is always what we look for when it comes to any sort of tornado formation. So it is getting a bit worse as we continue on over the next couple of minutes. I've now paused it at its now most recent area. So where you see that hook is also where you always, at the top of the hook is where we see the most rotation. So this is where we're going to watch for all of the heavier rain. This is where we're going to watch for any sort of rotation, any sort of spiral, any sort of typical tornado formation. But just take a look at how terrible it looks in this area. So I think this tornado warning is well called for, especially when you take a look at the live scene again near Buckley Air Force Base, where we have a land spout that has been spotted by a National Weather Service.
Lauren, as far as its movement, it certainly, as we talked about a few minutes ago via radar, it looked like that collision on HD Doppler of east and west coming together. But now it appears, that system, or at least the heart of that system, is starting to move, if it will, a little bit north and maybe east as well. Is there any idea yet as far as any pattern or path that we might see this storm move?
Well, I guess not so good news is it doesn't really seem to be moving too much at all. We're seeing some energy push in from the west and from the east, and you can see it kind of collide over Aurora. But at the point of this collision, it's not seeming like it's moving too much. So that's never a good sign when it comes to I guess hoping for safe weather. So
right.
it collides together right over Aurora, and then that's actually where we're starting to see the center of the heavier downpours, and you can also see that hook starting to form there, and that's one of the first steps in a tornado formation. So we do need to continue to monitor this, along with the wind speeds kind of going in and out on either side of what would be a tornado. But
that's right there at I-70 and 470. So there are a lot of spectators to this today, hopefully, who are not necessarily caught in it, but many people are going to get certainly a good view of it from the highways.
And then when you
470
talk
going
about
north.
the timing, though, I mean, it is rush hour at this point. It's one of those helpless feelings. If you're on the road, where do you go at this point? But we just hope people are paying close attention. I think it's worth noting, Lauren, we talked about this earlier in the week. This has been quite a quiet storm season in Colorado. We have not seen these kinds of storms until this week. And I know there's been a lot of talk about the monsoon flow and when that comes back, but we have been just clobbered this week with weather, and severe weather that normally we would see sometimes in the spring, and also much further east. I mean, this is close to the metro area. This is the metro area, and that just doesn't happen that often.
That's right. It is pretty rare for you to see it in a tornado formation or anything like this in a metro area, since there is a thing called a urban heat island, which is a whole different subject. But these usually tend to form more in eastern plains or open plain areas, especially further east of the metro area. So
these
it
pictures,
is unique that this is closer to the city. Yeah,
Lauren, these pictures we're seeing now from Sky 9, this the shaft of light as well as the shaft of dark, pretty special stuff, trying to get a handle on exactly what is happening and where this is moving. This, again, we've seen tornado warnings. That the one that we do know of would have expired a couple minutes ago, but as you can see by that weather, whether or not there's an actual tornado warning, there's heavy weather in some areas. We're going to get back to Lauren, to Sky 9, and bring you the latest when we come back.